Okay, let's continue. We have to create a registration form, a simple registration form like this. What do we need to do? Now we need to learn the form tag and how to use CSS with our HTML very well. In the previous video, we gave us some hints on how to use CSS with HTML, how to link with it. So here we'll be dealing with creating a simple registration form with HTML and CSS. That is the form we have to create. So let's have our body moving to H1. Registration form as seen in the picture. So the paragraph should be, please fill out the form below. So after the paragraph, we'll have our form tag. I don't have the action yet. The action means the active web server that will attend to this form after it is being submitted. I don't have an active web server. Active web server means those working behind. That's where we have our back-end languages. Those working behind to provide an answer. For example, if I input my email, a particular message will be sent to my email. Those are working behind. That is the online web server, the active web server that will attend to this form after I submitted. But for now, we're just learning the basic. If you have one, you can input. So we have our div, our division. This means division. We have the required parts of it. We have class for required part of the form. So right under this we have label for name, class field, and we have a name here. Right under the label tag we have input. Is it text, is it file, is it radio, is it checkbox? But here it is text because it is name, and names are always in alphabet. So another division will give us for gender. I hope you have the image, the first image I showed at first. So we have the label for gender here, the class field. So we have gender here. So right after this label, we have label tag again. But this will deal with inputs. So that the input, instead of it to be text, it will now be radio. We have name should be gender, the ID identifier to be gender, and we have our value to be male. Then after the tag we have male here. You can just do this, change the value to female. Let's see what we have. Let's use our live server to see our results. What do we have? Okay, this is exactly what we have here. This is the radio, the input type, and this is for the text input type as well. Do we understand? Okay, so another division, if you're checking the picture, we see another division of picking the operating system. I hope you have a picture. I showed it at first before starting this. We have label for OS, we have name to be OS, and we have label for operating system. We have our class to be us field, and we have operating system here after the tag. So this operating system we are actually selecting. So after this we have our select tag. We have select tag for OS, the ID to give us OS. Then here we have our option value for, let's say, Windows. We have different operating system actually. We have Windows. Then another option value, another option tag for Linux, for example, and we have Linux here. Another one for Mac OS. We have our Mac OS here, and let's say probably others. If the one they want is not part of this, we have others option for that as well. So that is the part for operating system. what do we have? Can you see? To give us a drop down. Okay, after the operating system, what do we have next? We have a part where they call toys. So we have our division for that too. We have label for toys. We have the class to give us field. So this as well, we have our label. We don't need this. We have our input type. Here should be a checkbox. You will see what this means, that our input type for this is checkbox and not radio as for gender and not name or file as for others. This is why we have checkbox. Let's say this one to give us the value for this, let's say camera, and we have camera here. Let me do something like copy and paste so that we won't waste most of our time. Let's say we have it like 4 times. Can you see? We have it, but something is missing there. Here we should have toys here. Can you see? We should have toys here. Can you see? Okay, so the next thing we're having is portraits. We have another division. We have the label for portrait. We have the class to give us field. So let's have our portrait here. So right under the label tag, we have our input type here. The input type for this one will give us file and not name or checkbox or radio. Portrait. What do I mean by file? Can you see? When I clicked this, it will take me to my file explorer. I should just pick any file to be uploaded to it. Okay, the next division here, we have our mini biography. Label for biography. I'm not going to type that in full. You can type it in full if you want. Mini biography, and that our input type for this will be different. The input type for this will actually be different. Even we won't have input type, we have text area for this. Text area for bow. The identifier should be for bow. So now the columns and the rows. Let's see. The ones I was given by the text editor I'm using, they gave me 30 columns and 10 rows. What do they mean? Can you see? 10 and 30. 30 is this way, 10 is to this way. Can you see? But I don't want this. It's kind of, I don't want it. I prefer to use it to my own taste. I want my column to be 40 and I want my row to be just 6. You can adjust if you want. Can you see? But you can still adjust if you want. That is why we use text area for it. You can adjust if you want. So let's go to our submit. Okay, let's say we've actually typed everything you want and we want to submit. This class will give us submit. So we have our input type here, should give us submit, and we have our value. We don't need name or identifier for this. We don't need it. We have value to give us register. Okay, this is what we have. So let me start with CSS now. I opened my CSS document already and I saved it with form.css, but now it is not linked to my HTML because right under my title here I will link it with my CSS. I have form.css, what I saved it with. So let's go to my CSS document. The first thing I'll be doing is my body, the entire body. What do I need to save for that? I need my margin. I need to save margin for that. Let's say 10 pixels. Then padding 0. Let me see, what do we have? The margin is the up space here, the upper space here. Can you see? When I added the margin to be 10 pixels, this registration form, it came down a little bit because I added the margin to it. So we have our padding, we have our font family. This is our font family, anything at all. We have our line height. Let's say that's 1.5 em. Let me see. Can you see I change the font family? So I'm setting the line height again, 1.5 em. So here we have our margin top, let's say 15 pixels. What do we have? Can you see the difference? There is actually a difference there. So let me go to the H1, the heading, the first heading, the registration form here, where I typed my registration form here, the H1. You can actually use H2 or H3, but I'm using H1 to make it big. So we're setting font size for that. The font size will be 2.5 em. I said it in the earlier video. We're calculating in pixels or in em. Okay, for the paragraph, I'll be setting that to 1.1 em as well. Can you see the difference? Okay, after the paragraph, I'll be going for the form div. What do I need to say? What do I need to set for the form div? This is the form div. After my paragraph, I included my form tag, and under the form, I have different divisions there. We have divisions for name, for gender, for type, for choice, for operating system. So whatever I'll be setting now will be applied to all the divisions under the form tag. For the form tag, I'll only be setting for margin bottom. Let's say 1 em. That is what I'll be setting for the form div. What do I mean? Can you see the space between each line? Like the space between one line to another is extended. So after the form div, I'll be having label. That's filled. What do I need to say for that? I have display. Let's say display for block. At first, this is what you will have at first, like to be scattered like this, because I set it to be display. But later on, when I save it, when I set this float to left hand side, everything will float to the left hand side. That has come back to normal, but that is not exactly what we have in the picture. We have our margin right, let's say 15 pixels. Can you see the space has extended as well? Space between one word to another has extended. So after that, I'll be setting for width. That's okay, let's say 150 pixels. Or can you see the space that has increased again? After that, I'll be having div for submit, then inputs. That is the register form where you click when you've input all your information. Let's say our margin left, so that it will move to the left hand side. We have 165 pixels. Can you see? This is the register form. This is it. But I will need to save. I will need to set my border radius to that. Let me set my border radius to be 2 em. Can you see the curved edges? This is a simple registration form. I want you guys to try the same thing and push your code to your GitHub repo. Thank you very, very much.